Hello and welcome to another edition of the Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor Russ Stevens and Uncle Joe McLaughlin. Well, we have another great show for you tonight. So, boys, let's get it started. We always have to go back before we go forward. First of all, I just want to mention Max for Father's Day, and happy Father's Day, guys. Belated happy Father's Day. I know we
belated happy Father's Day.
Shared that because Russ wasn't here last week. Happy Father's Day. I know you guys are great fathers. But look at this U.S. Open Brookline hat Max got me for Father's Day.
Very nice.
There you go. I'm rocking the Brookline. And that event went fantastic.
It
Kudos
matches
to the area.
Matches the blue in your eyes, Scotty.
Very good.
People will think you hang out at the TCC.
That was very good. You're all right. First one goes to Russ Stevens. There you go. See, I laugh at your stuff. I give you the love that you deserve when you do it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll return the favor.
Mine goes over everybody's head, and all right. I'll just carry.
You just have to dumb it down for us, Scotty. You just have to dumb it
I'm
down.
trying. All right, boys, we got to go back before we can go forward. The Celtics, we've never been more clairvoyant about a team and their needs and the personnel than it feels like than this 2022 version of the Celtics. Lots of talk from Udoka and Stevens. We think always about players to obtain, to improve the team. They're talking about players who are on the team doing the things to get better. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, they certainly are. I mean, they're looking at a bunch of young guys who can definitely get better. I mean, I'm sure they still think that Tatum and Brown and certainly Robert Williams have some space left until they hit the ceiling, but also Pritchard, probably Derek White once he gets in the system, Grant Williams, Al Horford. Al Horford's probably the only guy in that rotation who's reached his ceiling.
Yeah.
Right?
Joe, I think Rob Williams
got taking the elevator down right now.
Joe, Rob Williams, we don't even know really what we have with him right now, do we?
Oh no, he's great fun to watch. He's lots of energy. He can jump out of the gym. He blocks shots. He does all sorts of things that surprise you. I just worry about his long-term health, the way he jumps and jumps and jumps. His hips and knees have bothered him already. It's not a good formula.
Yeah, well, this is the kind of, they got plenty of guys who are personal trainers and stuff. They have to work this guy out in such a way that he can be durable, if that's possible.
Or get a backup who plays a little bit more like him. I mean, they're going to have to, sometime in the next year or two, they're going to need a replacement for Horford. Right, because Horford's on the in the back nine of his career, I think for sure, and a guy who can play meaningful minutes behind Rob and play for him when he gets injured.
Right.
It'd be hard to find someone who plays like him because he almost plays like a guy with the jumping.
Yeah, I mean more of a rim rolling guy, not a 3-point shooting center, but a guy who's going to get to the rim kind of center.
And Russ
plays the back of the zone.
Yeah.
Daniel Tice, Russ, is Daniel Tice that guy?
I think. I think if the Celtics need to save some money this offseason, he's relatively expensive, and you could probably bring in a third center for less than $8-9 million a year. But Tice is a serviceable backup center in the regular season. He just can't play in the playoffs.
Lots of rumors that Pritchard or Grant Williams could go. I don't think the big guys are going. Nobody's trading Marcus Smart, so you can forget about it. And Brian Scalabrine, if he could be a bigger clown, he made that happen a few days ago, talking about Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant. Just stop it, Scal. You're living in the house's money. But I could see Pritchard or Grant Williams go. Yeah,
absolutely. If you want to get a guy with the traded player exception, they've got a 17 million plus TPE that they can use. And the team that you want to trade with is looking for a young rotation player. Well, those are two guys you could put in with some draft picks to get a really good player coming back.
Yeah, and if you didn't want Grant to sign Grant Williams, Joe, to a bigger contract because he's a restricted free agent, but ultimately you're going to have to address his contract. This would be the time to move him, right?
Oh yeah, and like you've always wanted to move Marcus, this is the time. If you want to upgrade them.
You're not going to move Marcus. I don't even want to move Marcus right now. I think that he fits a role. When you put Derek White in there, I just think you need another guy, a veteran point guard that could
We
come
need a
in,
point guard, someone who can run an offense.
but also stabilize a game. Come in when things are going a little crazy, and come in for that guy, the guy who played for Dallas for many years. Do you remember, actually from Northeastern? Do you remember him, Russ?
Yeah, Carlos
Yeah.
Barrega or something like that.
Yeah,
No, it's JJ Barrega.
JJ, he'd be I don't know if he's even still in the league anymore.
No, he's not in the league. But I know what you mean. You're talking about like that kind of a point guard.
Control the tempo of the game.
Yeah, when needed. Because it's not, this is not someone who's going to play 25 minutes a night every night. This is a guy that when things get hung up, you bring him in because you need Marcus to play off ball, or Marcus is having one of those nights or he's injured or something like that, you know?
Foul trouble. Right. Also, just time management.
That's right.
This whole season's going to be about this. We're not worried about the Celtics making the playoffs. We're worried about what their condition is health-wise going into the playoffs.
That's right. And what do they look like in the Eastern Conference Finals or the finals? Because they were out of gas, it's clear.
Yeah. The fact is, now this has been a couple weeks, I'm okay with this now, because I think if you had played 10 more games, one game after another, every other day, that Celtics would have won maybe one game. One out of 10.
They were cooked.
They were
cooked. Yeah. Tatum and Smart were both just got that 1,000-mile stare. They had seen the end of the line.
Yeah.
And they weren't going any further.
Yeah, we're big horse racing fans. We know just because you were in the lead for a while and you got to a certain point, then you died. That didn't mean that you were close to winning. Yeah. It was not
very good against Milwaukee, but they just couldn't maintain that pace.
They didn't have a bench in the finals after game one. It was the same five guys. It was brutal. I mean, they got nothing from the bench in the last 5 games.
Now,
and the Golden State bench was it seemed like it was 10 guys deep. They kept throwing guys at us.
Yeah, a guy like Otto Porter wasn't he on a max contract or something? I mean, Otto Porter's a big time player.
Well, he was at one point.
Pays a lot of money in tax, and they don't mind. They make a lot of money there. Wick doesn't pay a penny in tax.
Well, he will now. And if he doesn't, he's going to get run out of the town. He will now. And by the way,
I think he won't. He'll use that trade exception.
I will bet you $20 on this show right now. It will pay they will go at least 5 million, if not 10 million into the team.
All right, Joe, you want
the action? Can't get away with not doing it.
Joe, are you taking the action?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. There we go. There you go.
By the way, just for the record, Wick did pay the tax in the KG era 4 out of 6 years or something.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
So, but all of a sudden, the last couple of years, he made Danny get rid of Tice to get under, made Brad get rid of Jay Rich to get under. There was some significant El Cheapos there. I know they didn't look like a competitor this year until after the deadline, but still, it was an odd thing to, try to get under the tax.
Well, Brad Stevens, Joe, said they could go over the tax. That's like saying, that's like when your dad gave you your credit card, his credit card, and say, buy anything you want at the ice cream store. Seriously? Okay, I'm going to absolutely buy everything. I'm not stupid. He's going to overspend because that's how GMs keep their job, by getting good players. That's what the deal is. And who are we focusing on?
Oh, and they have that 17 million plus trade exception that can keep them under the tax too.
Right, but that
Well,
also
no, Joe, it doesn't keep them under the tax. It just allows them to spend over. No, everything gets counted, you know, so.
Well, I thought it allowed them to spend over the cap without being luxury tax.
No, it allows them to spend over the cap, but they get taxed on everything. So, you know, they're basically at the tax now, and they can add, you know, between the trade exception and the mid-level exception, they could add up to 25 million. I don't think they're going 25 million into the over the cap, but they're liable to go, you know, 15.
I think they will need it next year. Everyone thinks, oh, we can kind of stand pat and run it back and maybe tweak it like Wick says, just tweak the roster. But you can now remember, Philly's going to be healthy, maybe. The Nets will have Simmons and Kyrie and KD playing together the whole year this year instead of like the craziness of last year. There's a lot of competition coming at us. I'm sure Milwaukee will make moves. Miami always makes moves. Pat Riley always makes moves.
Yeah, well, of course, you know, but that's what we faced this year, and I don't think we were afraid of anybody until we got to Golden State. Everybody was beatable, and those same cities right now, Joe, are talking about the Boston Celtics and what they have to do to be a better team than that. We need a shooting guard. That's the first priority. That's what Brad Stevens said, Russ, and that's what Adoka said, and that's who we're going to first.
Yeah, I think the one that in that vein you'd have your eye on is the kid Kevin Huerter from Atlanta, who's tall, can shoot it, also is not a bad playmaker, and you know, decent D. And Atlanta's making changes. They just traded for DeJounte Murray. So
they just did that.
Huerter. They just did it, a little while ago for three picks. And Danilo Gallinari. There's already a rumor that the Celtics are going to be very interested in Gallinari as well.
Oh, please not!
It's a
please
buyout.
not.
Yeah.
No.
But I would look for more Huerter. I love the kid, the lefty Luke Kennard out at the Clippers land, who led the league in 3-point shooting. He's 6'5". Those are the kinds of guys I'd love to see them bring on that TPE.
What about the name you hear a lot lately, TJ Warren? Hasn't played in 2 years.
Yeah. You wouldn't trade for him, though, Joe. You'd have to sign him as a free agent. You have to use your mid-level. You can only offer him, I think, $6.5 million.
So he's a good guy to take a flyer on for $6 million. That's a perfect.
Someone will give more money than that, though.
Yeah.
Take a flyer giving him more money.
Would you guys, let me ask you a question. Would you guys be, Duncan Robinson could fit within that TPE.
No.
Would you want him?
No, he doesn't play any defense.
He doesn't play D. Yeah.
No, not at all. And they do not want guys in the court who drop their defensive model.
Yeah.
Well,
if you could bring,
how come they didn't want the big kid from the Knicks that just went to Detroit? He's 6'6".
Burks. Yeah, Burks. But here's the thing.
40%. He actually shot better from
I know. I know although he just had foot surgery, and he's just, I don't know, he's not an exciting player. He would have been a good plan C maybe, but plan A.
He'd be an upgrade over Pritchard, 5'6", a lot more.
Size-wise, yeah. Size-wise.
Shoot about the same from 40%.
I got another name for you. Kyle Kuzma. What do you guys think of him?
Yeah, geez, he's a character, isn't he? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He brings some
baggage. He wanted to
baggage.
play for the South Spectre in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, he's got size, right?
Yeah, he does. Big 6'9". What do you think about him?
Does he play defense?
Better. He's been playing better defense the last couple of years. Yeah.
You know who I want. I want Seth Curry.
Yeah, he'd be great. I don't think he's going anywhere though, because of the Nets,
But if the Nets were to blow that up for some reason,
he'd be terrific. I totally agree. Last name for you in terms of the Celtics always love bringing guys back. Jay Crowder's been a pretty good player the last few years. Would you want him back?
Joe, phony tough guy, Jay Crowder. I thought you didn't say phony tough guy before you said Jay Crowder. No,
that's Joe's impression.
Oh, Jay, we overrated him, I thought, but he was an interesting guy to have. But no, he's not the kind of guy they need. He's just a little too long in the tooth.
You can't have Jay Crowder and Marcus Smart on the court. There won't be any other shots. Nobody will take any other shots. If you remember, Jay Crowder thinks he's like Marcus Smart. He's the best shooter on the team.
All right.
He's got it
I'm
all
just
the time.
asking the question. I'm just asking the question.
What do you think?
Asking the question.
Generate conversation.
Khalil Minnick, you want to bring him back? No.
Trust me, he's on a bunch of lists. I'm telling you, Scotty.
Oh, I know.
A big guy that creates space by shooting threes. He's a popular guy.
Look, I got the name. I don't know how you're going to get
it.
It's John Collins. You get Collins.
Yeah, he doesn't fit though, Scotty. I don't think he fits within the TPE. So you'd have to move as much salary. You're not getting Collins without trading Smart and or Horford or something.
Oh, I would trade Horford for Collins, wouldn't you?
Back to Atlanta for Collins? That's trade.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you'd have to send a couple of first-round picks to them too, which they just gave up a bunch of first-round picks. So maybe that's part of their plan.
It seems like they want to revamp that team entirely. And just 2 years ago, they were the coach of the town, remember?
Well, they're all right. They're always trading John Collins. I've seen him in every rumor known to mankind, but he hasn't been moved yet. Gallinari's washed up. That doesn't seem like a very good deal for San Antonio.
If they're going to cut him, they're just going to cut him, Scotty. They only used him for salary purposes. They're going to cut him.
So it's just 3 first-round picks?
Well, yeah, but they're all unprotected, and the Charlotte pick could be a great pick, basically. I mean, could be they stink. That could be a number 1 pick or top 5 pick.
So, boys, is Brad Stevens going to make a big splash, a couple of small splash, or a couple of singles? Is he going?
He's going to hit a single. He's going to hit a single and a double. I think that's what this offseason is. Add to the bench, single and a double.
Single and he'll advance a second on a block. Someone will make a mistake and he'll take advantage of it.
What is a single and double?
Wick will allow, like Wick said, he just wants them. He likes the roster and he just wants them to tweak it. That means
a single, Scotty, is, so I just read earlier that Patty Mills declined his option. Is going to be a free agent, right? He's a San Antonio guy, good shooter, backup point guard like you want, right? A single is Patty Mills in the MLE, $6 million. And a double is getting one of those guys I just mentioned, a Huerter or a bigger body, guy who can take minutes from, give Tatum and Brown a rest with the TPE. I think that's your single on your double.
Yeah, then you move on.
I love the Patty Mills idea, Russ.
Patty Mills would be great.
Quality veteran, that's one could bring a lot to that locker room.
Yep, Patty Mills would be fantastic. I think my guess is he's the most likely signing, given he just opted out of his deal with the Nets. I think he's the most likely signing right now. It's top of the list.
Well, he must be in heaven. Kyrie didn't get any real offers and had to take the player option to go back to the Nets.
I know, he's such an embarrassment. He's just everything he says.
Oh, Stephen A. Smith and him are having an absolute war.
Stephen A. Smith loves that stuff, but Kyrie's he's a joke.
I'm gonna turn my light out. I'll be right there. Keep going.
Look, Udoka loves old San Antonio Spurs, Joe. I have this feeling, right?
Oh, yeah.
So when Russ mentioned when you and I was just saying to Joe, when you mentioned Patty Mills, old San Antonio Spurs, we're gonna start collecting those. I feel.
Could be, yeah. I actually thought that was why DeJounte Murray might end up here, but it would have been a big deal. They would have had to empty the bag for him.
Yeah. It's sort of like Bill Belichick bringing his old New York Giants there at the back at the beginning.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Look, NFL is brilliant because it's 365 days a year. The NBA has become 365 days a year. And Major League Baseball just falls further behind all the hot stove stuff. They had perfected it for about all our lifetime, and then it just faded away, and the NFL and the NBA just swept up.
We're all going to be going to cookouts for July 4th, right? Coming up. And what's everyone going to be standing around the grill talking about? Believe me, it won't be the Red Sox. Everyone's going to be talking NBA because that's, with the free agency starting and the NFL.
I know.
Even during in season, no one talks baseball anymore.
It's brilliant. They're brilliant. We've always considered ourselves a baseball show, but they're brilliant. They got us talking. The season ended a couple of weeks ago, and they're the lead subject. All right. We've got to go to the Boston Red Sox, who, until the last 2 days, we got to go back before we go forward. Before we talk about the two assholes who didn't get vaccinated, the Red Sox have played fantastic after starting 10-19. Big kudos to a team that literally could have packed it in.
I'd like to see them play a little better in their division. They've got a horrific record against the division.
Well,
that's where they've got to pick up the pace there. They've got to at least. I mean, I know 500 is out of reach by now, but get it to like 450 or something.
Alex Cora is pretty smooth. Here's a guy that could talk his way out of a big suspension, can talk his way out of what he did with the Astros. But last night after the game, he was out of his game, out of his element. He, in fact, apologized today, starting to say, I'm the manager and that's my decision to make. This whole vaccination thing may have been an upheaval of the Red Sox clubhouse. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes. In fact, I think he shook his sword at it today and said, we're not going to have this problem. And, if we have to come back here in September, and I think there's only two ways you don't have that problem. Either the guys who haven't taken the shots take them, or you've gotten rid of the guys, and if I'm him, I'm like, get rid of these guys. If they're not going to take the shot, I can't have this. It's just, it's not a good way to build a team, to run a team.
I've never heard of a situation like this as a fan. They have two prospects that we have heard about for many years. Both of them come up, shown glimmers of stardom. And now all of a sudden, because of this side issue, we're talking about getting rid of them.
Yeah.
I mean, what happens? Because it sounds like these guys are not going to get vaccinated. If they were going to get vaccinated, they would be vaccinated.
Scotty, how many?
You're not, you get on the team, you take the shot.
Look, how many tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people have been vaccinated? How many people have been made ill? Because my 82-year-old father has taken 4 shots. He's fine. He's better. He'd be dead if he hadn't taken them. Right? And he didn't have a reaction. Right? No, there's been no reports of systematic adverse reactions to these shots. So when Jaron Duran says, I'm still doing my research, that is the biggest bunch of bullshit that you can ever imagine.
Information.
Right?
Gathered.
Just like OJ's looking for the killer right now.
Just bullshit. And they don't want to take the shot. And I don't know how those guys walk into the locker room tomorrow and meet the Red Sox for their next series with any sort of self-esteem or sense of self-worth or anything at this point in time, because you've just completely abandoned your team against a rival. It's ridiculous.
And you lost yesterday's game, which could decide a wild card spot, wild card home or away.
Absolutely. Yep.
Who you play, huge ramifications. We know that. They would have won that game with Tannehill.
Absolutely. And they lost a game against Toronto earlier in the year because they had to reshuffle their rotation, because that was the time, that was back and then Tannehill was starting. He couldn't start.
With this issue notwithstanding, Tannehill could, let's just say Tannehill was on the injured list. That bullpen has not been addressed by management. It stinks. There's no one there. There's no one he can trust. It doesn't matter that Tannehill wasn't there. The bullpen still stinks. If he'd been the night before and he couldn't pitch,
Joe,
you can't pitch every night.
Joe.
And you don't have like 12 relief pitchers sitting there in the waiting room smoking cigarettes, Joe. This guy's on the roster. He decides to take 3 games off because he doesn't want to be vaccinated. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, no,
Well,
both
it's not
can
the
be
first
true.
3 he's taken off either.
No, but both can be true. they can have an inadequate bullpen, which I agree with Joe. But last night's game was they lost it because it did matter that Tanner Houck wasn't there. It did. He's 7 for 7 in saves. It did matter that he wasn't there.
Yeah,
you can't blame it on Cora. You can't blame last night's game on Cora. You can blame last night's game on the Red Sox organization for not either making this guy get the shot or get him the hell out of town. Period.
Yeah, get someone who will.
Will they trade one out of two?
I hope so. I would be on the phone with the Pittsburgh Pirates right now if I was Chaim Bloom, because they've got a young closer, and I would say, we will give you Tanner Houck and Jarren Duran for your young closer, and we'll throw in someone else.
And the National League doesn't have any Canadian teams, so they don't have to worry about it. So just get every National League general manager on the line. Start talking.
So I didn't hear this. So Russ, what you're saying is Cora basically suggested that things have to change.
He said that this will not be a problem in September.
Yeah, he said it won't be.
Wow. So that would suggest that they're going out. They're leaving.
He's pissed. I mean, he's pissed. You could see last night he was pissed. He was in a no-win situation after that game because he's not going to throw these guys under the bus because ownership and general management should have thrown these guys under a bus a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah. They should have known this. They knew this before the season started.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely,
this was an issue that should have been addressed before the first game of the season.
Look, they signed Trevor Story under the condition he'd take the shot. He took the shot, and he said in the paper this week he was glad he took the shot.
Right. So I know.
Well, yeah. So why are we? Why?
They knew they had 10 games with Toronto up there to start the season.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Who's Duran or Houck when you compared to Trevor Story? I mean,
Trevor Story is a star baseball player. Tanner Houck has done nothing.
Nothing.
Jarren Duran has done nothing.
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 Look, Kyle Schwarber is having an incredible June, like historic. Bobby Dahlbeck, not only is one of the worst hitters in baseball, can hardly catch the ball as first baseman. What was Chaim thinking? Why?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
On the plus side, I looked up Suzuki's stats with the Cubs this year. He's only hitting 245.
No, but he's been hurt. He's been hurt since May. He's been hurt. He had a broken finger or something. Look, Chaim made moves in the offseason. Would you agree? Not for this year.
Yeah, I think I've said it before. I think they took the equity that they built last year by surprisingly getting into the ALCS, and they figured, well, we'll take that equity and we'll kick the can down the road one more year and try to compete in 2023.
All the suckers re-up their season tickets on that, so we'll take it for a ride for another year.
And the shame of it is, this team is showing some real life and some guts. I mean, this has turned out to be kind of a fun team to watch over the last month and a half.
Nice comeback last night. All for naught, but it was a nice comeback.
You know, a guy we've been railing on for months, Vasquez, has turned out is having a good year at the plate.
He is. I guess seeing that you have nobody in the farm system in the catching position other than Wong, and he's going to be a career backup. I guess you have to sign Vasquez, right?
It's a premier position. It's a priority position. And there aren't many good catches. He is in the top 5 in the major leagues.
Oh, wow.
You have to keep him.
Is he in the top 5, Russ?
Offensively, yeah. I mean, these catchers stink.
And he's plus, and he's above average defensively. His handling of pitching, I'm not so wild about.
Oh. So Vasquez is going to get a 3-year deal, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, you have to. It's a premium. You have to cover that position. When you have just imagine having a guy like Plawecki back there, where every single turns into a triple because they just run on him on every pitch.
I watched JD Martinez last night. He's struggling at the plate. Then I saw his numbers, and he was having a good season with 320 8 home runs, 30 RBIs. Boys, that's for a DH. He's not getting paid $20 million next year for those numbers.
No, probably not. But they, that's why I was saying I'd have traded him and kept Schwarber. But Schwarber's average is like 215, by the way. Like he'd be driving us crazy, right? He'd be driving us crazy because he's got like, I don't know, 15 home runs. He's hitting like 215.
Would you trade Durant for Schwarber?
Yeah, why not? I'll trade Durant for a bucket of balls. I'm so pissed at this point in time.
I know.
Seriously.
I know.
I was kind of glad the Refsnyder played well last night.
I am too. I am too.
That kid's good.
It makes him think, Durant must have been pissing his pants at home when he hit that home run.
I was watching the Toronto Blue Jays feed, and Refsnyder had a cup of coffee with them, and they kept on saying he's not the same guy that played for us. He looks really good out there. The kid's a solid player. He's plus defensively, and looks like he has a nice swing. Is there a future on this team for Refsnyder?
I think he's a 4A player. He's on a hot streak, and the Red Sox should ride it as much as they can. And then hopefully, hopefully Kike is back to what he was last year, and you go from there, right?
Verdugo, all of a sudden Verdugo's looking like a player that, I think he's had a horrible season, but in the last few, he has a beautiful swing. You would think, and he's a big kid. You would think he'd be putting up better numbers than he is.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a career average player. He'll never be a star, but he's going to be an average outfielder in the major leagues.
I would say
above average.
His ceiling seems like an above average non-star player. That's what his ceiling seems like, right?
Okay, is he
280 some year with 25 home runs?
Oh, that would be a big year for him. Is he Trot Nixon?
Maybe. Yeah, it could be Trot Nixon. I mean, Nixon was an above average non-star player.
Like a 15 home runs, 75 to 80 RBI guy.
Look, you need guys like that on your team. You just hate the fact that you had to trade a generational player to get him, right?
Kike, he's going to be out the door in the next month, right?
I don't think so. I mean,
it all depends on Durant. You need a leadoff hitter.
Kike had a cold start, got injured, but was fantastic last year. So, I mean, which Kike are we getting? Are we getting last year? I think we'd all take last year's Kike. Kike was a top 3 player for the Red Sox last year.
But it doesn't look like they have any plans on re-signing him.
Probably not. But I mean, what do you do if you're high on that? We're continuing to play well at the deadline. Are you selling or are you buying?
Oh, I really think he's going to do both. Joe?
Yeah, sort of like last year. He did both. He sold and he bought. And then he got shamed into buying a little bit more. But it worked out.
The one I find very intriguing that because it kind of fell upon our laps is Michael Wacha, who's 30 years old. I thought the guy was like 38.
He started very young. He was in Major League Baseball at a very young age.
Yeah,
because he pitched against us in 2013.
Yeah,
that's why I think he's so old. What do you do with a guy like this if he continues to pitch like he has?
If he has a good year, at the end of the year, you have a conversation with him and say, we'll sign you for 3 years. And we helped your career. We helped resuscitate your career and stay with us. I would not sign him a day before the end of this season, not one day. Because that guy has to show you he can pitch in October. I mean, the problem, look, I hate to go back to Chris Sale. Everyone knows how this show stands on Chris Sale. The problem is that these guys to be worth, longer term contracts, they have to be able to still be pitching in October.
Yeah.
Or else they're worthless.
Yeah.
It's worthless.
That's what we've learned, right?
And Nathan Eovaldi has shown.
They become money ball pitches.
Right. Nathan Eovaldi has shown he's an October, November pitcher.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. Those are the guys you saw.
Pivetta showed that last year.
Pivetta did, right? That guy looks like a horse.
Oh my God. Okay, right. I know it's early, but is that Pavetta, Siebold for uh, um, Workman and
Oh my
Hembry
God, it's a great
feeling like
trade.
Heathcliff Slocum for a Veritek and Lowe type of deal?
Just seems like a great trade. Great trade,
Yeah, and the
right?
irony is, people in the Phillies were happy to get rid of Pavetta.
I have Philly fans who I'm in this text group with, and their whole thing about Pavetta was he just was this really passive, type B player. And the Pavetta we have is like screaming at guys walking off the mound. He's just a complete bulldog.
Yeah. Look, I can't imagine any athlete enjoying their time in Philly. That's a rough place. Seriously. Look at Papelbon. Papelbon was this big personality here, loved it, the walk-up song, all that stuff. He melted in Philly. He hated the
He was
place.
talking to himself by the end.
Al Horford hated the place, right?
Yeah.
And the Philly fans hated Al Horford. How is that possible?
He didn't play well there. I gotta
He
say
didn't
that.
play well. He was miscast there. He was definitely miscast.
I know. That just shows you Philly has run through Al Horford and Jimmy Butler the last couple of years and got rid of them. If they could have had any cohesiveness with those guys when you put Embiid there together, they could possibly have won a championship already.
Yeah, you would have thought that I thought that was a great deal for Philly to have Al, play there, but they also didn't run the offense in a way that took advantage of Al at all up high, where he was making a difference for the Celtics this last year too. But
Play too much ISO for Embiid.
Yeah, I think Embiid's a hard guy to play with in many ways. I think he's, I think he's a really hard guy to play with. He's amazing. I think he's one of my favorite players in the NBA, for God's sake.
I almost threw up last night watching the Toronto Blue Jay feed, and when Vlad and Devers were at first base together, they were talking about how Devers is not signed. Wouldn't that be nice if Devers came to the Blue Jays? This is what we get here in this town now. I don't care about anything. John Henry has plenty of dough. He's 100,000 years old. The Red Sox feed him money. And you're telling me that the Blue Jays are pumping their chest. Maybe the Red Sox won't be able to afford one of our generational players, and they'll come to Toronto. Where are we right now, boys?
Oh, I tell you where we are. I've made my position in this known. If they don't re-sign Devers, I'm out. That team is not getting another dollar. He is not they're not getting another dollar from me. I'm not gonna pay them a dime of my money moving forward if they don't, because look, I understand you can rationalize not re-signing Xander, right? Because you re-signed Xander for 6 or 7 years and you were buying him well into his 30s, and we all know what happens to most of these guys when they get to their mid 30s. They start to fade. I understand it. There is no reason not to sign Rafi Devers, none whatsoever. He's in his early 20s. He's in his early youth.
He's the reason you have a franchise. It's a reason why you rolled the ball out.
Right.
Yeah. Xander's your present and your past. But Rafi's the future. He's going to be on this team 8-9 years from now, and he'll be a cornerstone. He'll be part of the core.
Yeah.
You can't do it. I mean, he's literally. Yeah. I mean, he is the Red Sox.
If the Red Sox can't retain Mookie Betts and then 3 years later can't retain Rafael Devers, why are we even fans?
Yeah.
Why are we fans?
I think Rafi and Aaron Judge are going to set some kind of record, the two of them, for extensions. They're going to get big money. They're going to get Mike Trump kind of money.
But Joe, that's the Red Sox fault, because they should have already signed Devers last year. They could have got. I know they could have got Devers for 10 years, under $30 million a year, and he would have signed that. The number just keeps on going up and up as they wait.
Well, yeah, now he won't even talk during the season. He said,
Joe, you always say that. That's not the case. You guys, they come and offer the agent, money like $350, $400 million. They'll take the call. I mean, you don't think these
Take the
agents?
call, but they'll say no because they know if you offer them that during the season, you'll give them more after the season.
Joe, Russ, won't they take the call? And these, I think Trout signed during the season when he said he wasn't gonna.
I don't think. Look, Mookie Betts said he wasn't gonna. He wanted to go to free agency, and he signed. He signed before he got to free agency in LA. You got to give him a deal that they can't afford to pass up.
Yeah.
That's what the bottom line is, right?
All right, and we talked about it in our thread, but we'll talk about it on the show. Joe, what does it take? What was it going to take to sign Rafael Devers right now today?
I say it's going to be $400 million.
For 10 years?
10, 12 years. Call it 12 years, $400 million.
Wow. Red Sox were purchased for what, 700 million, I think? So, that's pretty good. That's pretty good cash. Russ, you agree with that number?
Yeah, it's going to take a bleep ton of money. Yeah, it's going to take a bleep ton of money. And there's literally no contract that would be too much within reason for him. Like you're buying his early, his mid, and his late prime. You're not buying his post prime. You're buying his full prime.
Yeah, I think, look, I think I agree, probably $35 to $40 million a year. Just get it done. This is, why you develop guys like this. This is why other players are going to want to come to play for the Boston Red Sox because Rafael Devers is on the team. But I would disagree with you guys about Xander Bogaerts. If you look at his physical abilities, his physical stature, he's a guy who's going to continue to grow into his body. And he's a guy that come 37 years old, 8 years from now, will still be a very productive player.
Just to be clear, I want them.
Aren't they going to have another shortstop within a couple of years?
Yeah,
possibly.
Yeah,
might be Trout story.
Right. So, to me, just to be clear, I want them to sign Xander. I think they should sign Xander. There's no salary cap in baseball. Re-sign Xander. My point is there's a couple problems. There's a couple of issues, right? How long do you sign him for? And will he entertain a move off of shortstop down the line? Because you just drafted, looks like a phenom shortstop, right? Last year, who's going to be in the majors within 3 or 4 years. So if Xander is saying, I'm only playing shortstop during the life of this contract, which I don't think he's going to say, you have to be able to say to him, Xander, the progression is you're going to play shortstop for the next 3-4 years. And when Mayer's ready, we're going to find another position for you. You good with that? Great.
Yeah, look, like I told you last night, I believe if the Red Sox lose Xander, it's going to be just as big in this town as when the Red Sox lost John Lester.
Yeah, maybe he's Lester, but not Mookie. I mean, Mookie was indescribably bad because Mookie's 5 years younger than Xander when they traded him.
Yeah, and he's still the top player in Major League Baseball right now.
Yeah.
Well, no, but Joe, he has every other season. He was very.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And he's very injury prone. They were talking. He has a hip problem. He's actually out for some. I don't know what his injury right now is, but he's a small kid at 5'8", and we know small guys like that do not last in major professional sports. That's my problem with Mookie Betts is I don't think that he can hold up to that kind of contract. But yeah, of course, it's the Boston Red Sox. I want the best players on the team.
Oh, I agree with you. Xander's got the body. He's shown durability over the years. He's always playing like 145, 150 games. He doesn't miss many games.
Look,
he's been a very durable player.
He's Patrice Bergeron, right?
Yeah. That's
you want to keep these guys, right? You want to keep these guys with your franchise for as long as you can, and there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to afford him. My only point is, I'm not going to kill them, like I would kill them for not signing Rafael Devers. Yeah. I'm not going to kill them for not re-signing Xander. If Xander can go get like a 10-year contract at $35 million a year. Good for him. I wouldn't pay him for 10 years.
Yeah, that would be craziness.
Right?
But yeah, there's always
God bless him.
There's always the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
They'll always give those kind of stupid
Diego Padres.
Yeah, they'll give those stupid deals out. Manny Ramirez, not that Manny Ramirez means anything to Xander Bogaerts anymore, but he told Xander to stay with the Red Sox. That even if he has to take a little less, stay with the Red Sox. I think that we're seeing that, we talked about a few weeks ago that Mookie Betts was waxing poetic about playing for the Red Sox and how he misses it. And then yesterday, in the most bizarre story of the week, Freddy Freeman, all of a sudden, there was a point where like everybody on the Dodgers was on the front step, and he was like moping on the bench, and then it comes out he fires his agent, and this was after having the weekend in Atlanta and getting all that love, and then how he's pissed off that he signed that contract and he wish he never left. This could affect the Red Sox in a very positive fashion moving forward.
Because we need a first baseman.
No. I think that's the point. I think the point is that, you hear so many of these guys think that the grass is greener on the other side and go for the money. And, I think it's a great analogy for Xander. Like here's a guy, here's a team he grew up with. He's had great success. He's won 2 World Series rings with them. He's beloved here. He is Patrice Bergeron to Red Sox fans. So are you going to go take an extra $4 million a year somewhere?
Yeah, right. Look, LA is not a baseball town per se. LA is Hollywood. I mean, it's a Hollywood town, and the Lakers, and that's what Mookie Betts. When Mookie Betts drives on the street or walks around the street, nobody knows who he is. Nobody could care less. Xander Bogaerts is a god here. Why would he leave, like you said, for a couple million more? This is going to make a big difference on a sign like for Boston. This is going to be the positive for Boston moving forward.
Remember,
Xander's made a lot of money. Over the years.
Just remember, Xander's agent is Scott Boras, though, so it's he's dealing with a different thing here.
But Boras has always got along with the Red Sox, hasn't he?
Yeah. He was Manny's agent, right? I think wasn't he Manny's agent?
Yeah,
he got along well with the previous administrations. Does he get along with Heim?
Yeah, well, we'll see. All right, boys, we got to go to the Patriots. The first point of this is Pat the Patriot is back. He needs to stay. This is a new era, guys. We don't need the Flying Elvis is the Tom Brady era. Wouldn't you agree? Mac Jones needs to be the Pat the Patriot.
So you want them to change their base uniform back to the Pat Patriot?
Absolutely. I would argue it's the best.
Steve Grogan.
I would argue it's the best. And look, it's not me. I mean, I look at Twitter, all the national people will agree with me. I think it's the best logo in sports.
Well, I don't know about that, but
I don't know about that.
I always like the red uniforms. And even to this day, when I turn on the Patriots game, if they're playing a red team, I start rooting for the red team. Because that's ingrained in me.
Seriously?
Until I realize the Patriots are the blue team now.
What's the best logo in sports?
Oh, wow. I have to. I mean.
Red Wings, Blackhawks. The hockey ones are great.
Yeah, the hockey ones are great.
The hockey ones are great. Come on, pick one.
Look, I think honestly, I think the Red Sox home white uniforms are
with the black,
amazing. Yeah, the home whites with the blue cap are unbeatable.
All right, so you pick that, Joe.
I'm with Russ. I love the Red Sox uniforms.
Okay, well, you know where I stand.
And anything but that old Red Sox logo with the guy with the sock with the big chin.
Oh, but also the yellow, the City Connect thing.
I hate that too.
Honestly, my favorite single uniform, and they don't hardly ever wear it, is the Red Sox home whites, the marathon ones with Boston on it. Yeah, just the red piping.
Oh my God!
It's my favorite uniform I've ever seen.
Yeah, I own that Fernando Abad.
Oh God, such a great uniform.
Yeah, I got that from
such a great uniform.
Sale for $200.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful,
amazing uniform. Yeah, it's an amazing jersey. Yeah.
All right, so go the Patriots, and it's Mac Daddy all the time. They need to start a Mac Daddy network. Mac Daddy was in Bermuda this week for his girlfriend's sister's wedding, and I saw Mac Daddy without a shirt. He's comfortable without a shirt. If I had that body at 23 years old, I'd be a little less comfortable with it. I don't know what we're talking about, but Mac just he's never going to have that kind of body, is he?
He's never going to be cut and ripped, but you don't have to be as a quarterback. That's not what quarterbacks do. Quarterbacks think more than the.
Look, we won 6 Super Bowls with a quarterback who was never once cut and ripped, right?
Yeah, right.
Was
No,
doughy. No, he became pliable. He never became muscular. He became pliable.
Well, I'd like to see Mac get a little better shape, to be honest with you. What's going to be the biggest?
Brady didn't get really into shape until later in his 20s.
I know, but we got the Josh Allens and the Patrick Mahomes of the world. These guys are incredible athletes too. I think the game has changed. I think that you need to step up like that.
Oh, and Brady and the top guys, they're all crazy about the mechanics and working all year round on those kind of minutiae that make them just that little bit better.
Yeah. All right. What's going to be the biggest surprise first week of camp?
Isaiah Wynn will be gone. I think they'll trade Wynn or have him be a back. I don't think Isaiah Wynn factors into the team.
They paid him top dollar this year, because it's that 5th year they had to pick up the option. But
I think he's
going to be a linebacker coming to the Patriots on a trade.
Maybe.
I just think
what's the over-under people named Jones on the roster?
Yeah, right.
5.
They're just. I read a story that depending on McGrone, Perkins, with this McMillan. I mean, to be big time guys in the New England Patriots. I mean, seriously.
They're asking a lot of Mayo in one of the Belichick's as the linebacker coaches. With a bunch of 5th round picks into shape.
I mean, Russ, you can't go with this current linebacking core into game 1, can you?
Well, I think you've always said this, and you've heard guys say this. They'll know by day 4 of the camp, right, what they got, and if they don't, they'll look for something. But if day 4 of the camp, they're like, oh, these guys can play, then they'll roll with them.
There's always big money guys getting cut during camp that can still play. They get cut for other reasons. A lot of times financial. You just sit there and you wait and like a vulture and pick it off.
Well, it's just remarkable because all these guys that we haven't really seen play before are going to play key roles. As a fan, that's always fun to see new guys and see how they develop and stuff because it's all a big surprise to us.
Yeah, would you rather watch McGrone and McMillan and Perkins or Van Noy, Hightower? I know what I would rather see. I'd rather see better athletes running around, and if they make some mistakes, that's fine. At least they could get better. But Dante Hightower's he's not going to become a better athlete at this point in time in his career.
Yeah, and the Jamie Collins.
Yeah, the football players, the attrition of the injuries adds to the age that they really can't keep up. And I'm like Russ. I don't mind seeing a few mistakes if they make a few plays to boot,
Yeah.
How much play will Matt Patricia, being the offensive coordinator, get in the summer? I think that's going to be the biggest story of the summer.
A lot. I think it's I think him and Judge are the biggest stories on the Patriots, right?
Yeah, you would think, right? Well, a Judge is Judge. What is he? He's
the QB coach, isn't he? He's the QB coach.
Judge is the quarterback coach.
But Patricia's going to call the plays.
But I guess Judge is the de facto offensive coordinator. It's just that Patricia will probably be calling the plays.
Yeah, what could possibly be wrong with that? What could possibly go wrong with that equation?
Well, they must have been pretty, upset with the coaching, the caliber of the coaching staff. They let Josh take a dozen guys, 12, 14 guys he took between scouts, assistants. He took the whole offensive staff with him.
Have you ever heard? Not that it's tough to remember this. Have you
I
ever
don't
heard
know.
a guy who went from defensive coordinator to head coach to offensive coordinator?
No. No.
That's quite a thing on your resume. That covers all. If he gets special teams next year, he's all set.
But his last year as defensive coordinator for the Patriots in that Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl was an ultimate disaster. He was a horrific coach at the Detroit Lions. Everybody hated him. They wanted to kill him. And then he comes here, and he's been hanging out, been the ghost whisperer. And now all of a sudden he's got the second biggest job on the team.
Well, no, I think Judge is ahead of him.
No.
Yeah, but I don't think so.
How's he ahead of him? How's he ahead of him, Joe?
Well, as far as the titles are concerned, Patricia is like a special contributor. He has no title as yet. Judge, I think, being assigned Mac is being assigned the top job.
Look, we need young blood. I mean, isn't it clear? I mean, we see that with Udoka. Udoka opened all of our eyes.
You're getting that. You're getting like 20 new young coaches this year.
Yeah.
These are all these scouts and assistants are going to be raw right off the streets.
My take is Belichick is on the 16th or 17th hole at this point in time, and the only guys he wants to be playing golf with in his group are his old cronies, right?
Yeah.
He wants to force them, and it's him, it's Judge, Patricia, and Ivan Fears, right?
Yeah, I think Fears is definitely retired. I think he needs someone who knows the system with all these new people that are going to be populated. You figure the offense, Josh took everyone, every single coach, and half the assistant coaches to the coaches on that offense.
All right, so we got to finish with the Bruins, and lots of talk that Quinn's going to be the next head coach, and nobody seems to be happy about it. Do you guys have any opinion on that?
Well, isn't that Bellucci? They brought him back for a second interview, and that looks like the kind of sacrificial lamb they're looking for. A guy 55 years old that's been a GM and assistant GM all through hockey. Sacrificial lamb because they're going to play all the kids. They want to play all the kids.
Then why did Bergeron come back?
Yeah, I think the sort of the opposite. I think that they're going to try to eke one more year out of these guys, and like
they don't have it.
I know, but what do you do with Bergeron? You've got Bergeron, Marchand. You got to try to make Pasternak happy.
Bergeron, you keep because you want to, just as a culture guy, show these kids you play. All these kids you play both ways. You play offense and you play defense.
Yeah, I don't think that's why he's back.
I don't think so. And now
I'm hearing that's why he's back. Yeah,
he can't be back because he thinks they have a legitimate shot at the cup.
Well, I'm hearing that Russ Stevens, Binky, is coming back, and of course,
I'm hearing the same thing.
Of course, he is and then Daniel Navra, Kelly Olynyk, they'll all come back at the same time.
Let's put it this way: if David Krejci comes back, and if the Celtics trade for Kelly Olynyk, Scott's going to have an aneurysm.
It's going to be.
Krejci got run out of town because he stopped 2 years ago. He didn't get any better in the last 2 years. I doubt he's coming back. They don't want him back.
Joe, no, he's moved back to the United States, and
his wife has always wanted to raise the kids here. It's been a big sticking point in their relationship.
Well, he's going to want to play hockey, and the Bruins are going to let him.
Well, if he keeps Pasternak here, if that's what it takes to re-sign Pasternak, bring him back.
Oh my God, the Bruins are going to be pathetic.
Scott's going to be walking around like this, like with two hands on his temples for about 6 months. And if the Celtics bring Jay Crowder back too,
Oh, I know, right? Oh my God, I hate Jay Crowder so much. I hate Jay Crowder worse than I hate Kelly Olynyk. Just I want to mention that.
I think
Wow.
it's his time.
He's the worst, and and he loves the show. Oh, all right, that's for another show. All right, well, that's our show for tonight. I want to thank Ian behind the scenes.
Thanks,
Remember,
Ian.
check us out on Spotify. Follow us on Spotify, so you'll be listening to music. Then all of a sudden, our show will come up, and then you've got an hour of your life of total enjoyment. So sign up for Spotify for the Grandstanders. This will change your life forever. I know it has ours. All right, thanks for the fellas. We'll be back next week at a special time now, 6 o'clock, Wednesday nights, here on Big TV. My name is Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night.